Hello, everybody. This is a debate that I had with Kentucky Atheist a few weeks ago. And as you can see, he has a trouble letting people get in a word edgewise and make a point. So we had agreed that he would come to my channel and debate this at one point. And he apparently doesn't want to do that anymore. So I'm saving this for a review in the future. And I'm about to present our debate. And this is it. I'm just skipping the introduction part and up to the point to where we say a little bit about each other. And then he let me go first since he didn't know where I was going. And this is how I began.
Anything or not, just go look at it and tell me what you think. All right. Looks like you got the right one ready now. Go for it.
Yeah. This is Mary Schweitzer appearing on 60 Minutes.
Okay.
What happened next happened by mistake. Mary put some fragments of the bone in acid to dissolve away the outermost layer of mineral. But the acid worked too fast and all the mineral dissolved away. Being a fossil, there should have been nothing left. But there was. And it was elastic, like living tissue.
This is the piece.
No.
She showed us video she took under the microscope.
That's really what happened?
Yes.
That's the dinosaur bone?
Without mineral now. That's what was left.
It looked like the soft tissue she would have expected to find if it had been modern bone. This was impossible. This bone was 68 million years old.
So you see this and you think, what? You
I didn't want to tell anybody.
You'd be ridiculed,
Yes.
right?
And so I said to my technician, okay, do it again. I don't believe it.
And yet, in sample after sample, they were there. Things that looked suspiciously like flexible, transparent blood vessels. She finally mustered the courage to tell Jack.
She said she dissolved the bone away and there were blood vessels. And, I was like shocked. I mean,
How could that be?
How could that be? That's right.
The things Mary was finding inside dinosaur bones,
Look at that.
blood vessels, and even what seemed to be intact cells, pose a radical challenge to the existing rules of science, that organic material can't possibly survive even 1 million years, let alone 68 million. Mary, Jack, and their team published their B-Rex findings in a series of papers in the journal Science and were promptly attacked. Critics said their samples might have been contaminated, or that the supposed blood vessels were actually something called biofilm, a type of slime. But as Mary showed us, she's been able to replicate her findings. These are pieces of an even older dinosaur, a well-preserved 80-million-year-old duckbill. When she dissolved it away in acid...
Let's put this under the scope here.
Well, look.
Is that a blood vessel?
This is a blood vessel. You see the branches right there? And look at all of them. And it's so consistent over and over and over again. We do this bone and it comes out and I get excited every time. I can't help it. I mean, 80 million years old.
Mary published her new results last year, and while some of her critics have been swayed, the controversy still rages, and the stakes are high. If blood vessels can survive 80 million years, what about DNA?
Interesting stuff, isn't it?
G'day everyone, welcome to another CMI podcast. This one is about dinosaur soft tissue, and I'm Dr. Jonathan Safley for Creation Ministries
I'm trying to.
US from Australia.
There it goes. Okay.
So is this a different video or is that okay?
No, that just went on. There was a few things there in the that I wanted everybody to see. First of all, a lot of people don't understand what was really found. Some people think it was a glob of meat hanging on bone. No, that's not what they found. And some people believe it was just, they don't understand that this included a lot of things that were actually found, from proteins and, for instance, collagen was found, down to blood vessels and blood cells in the tracks of
No,
the
they
vein.
didn't find any cells.
Well,
they found what appeared to be blood vessels, but I've also got a Mary Schweitzer video that I had ready before we even came on here, and let me play it to add some context real quick, okay?
Okay, sure.
Recently in a Young Earth seminar where your research was used to support claims that working blood vessels, fresh blood cells, and intact DNA had been found in dinosaur cells or dinosaur fossils. Is that a fair characterization of your research?
It's wrong on all counts. Do we have blood cells? No, we do not have blood cells. I don't have the data to support that. We do have very rigorous evidence for DNA as the chemical in our dinosaur bone. And furthermore, it localizes using chemical methods to these osteocytes where you would expect it to be. But can I say it's dinosaur DNA? No, I can't, because it can be anything else on the planet unless I have sequence. And sequencing the DNA we pull out of our bones has so far proven to be impossible. They have round red structures that localize to the blood vessel channels. They have the morphological characteristics of blood vessels. They have a chemical makeup similar to what you'd expect blood cells to have. And I've never figured out why people are more focused on these little red blood cells than they are on the osteocytes, which are way cooler.
Well, yeah, because even if they were really intact, red blood cells and red blood vessels, that doesn't change anything, correct? I mean, that doesn't change our understanding of the age of the Earth. It only changes our understanding of how things are fossilized, correct?
Yes, exactly. And the cool thing of it is, if we quit wasting time on how old these things are and start getting at why are they there, it has huge implications that go far beyond dinosaurs.
Okay.
Okay, yeah.
So what? Hey, are you muted, Eric? Can you guys hear him now? I don't know. Oh, I got you.
Okay.
Sorry.
Oh, that's okay. So did they get to hear what I just said though?
No.
Okay. Well, what you're saying is true, but what I said was true too. Mary explains in the video that you just played that can she say that these are blood cells, and can she say that that is dino DNA? No, she can't, because it hadn't been tested up until that point. It was only observed, and that's what it looks like to them. So the way it's described, though, in the 60 Minutes interview and in the one that you just played as well, the way it's described, she does describe the veins, and that in the tracks of those veins, you do see what appears to be a red blood cell. But like I said, as of that point, they had not been tested, so she couldn't say that that's what it was.
Well, what are you trying to assert by bringing up Mary Schweitzer's work? Because she's been heavily misrepresented by creationists as finding things that show that the Earth isn't, or that dinosaurs aren't, millions of years old, and her work also, so what she did was she left the sample setting in acid, and she found the osteocytes where those blood vessels were mineralized. and it
Right.
ate the minerals off of them. So there was no soft tissue found. They found that because it dissolved the fossil, you were able to see the fossilized vessels that were there, but they were not soft at any time until she soaked them in acid for longer than she was supposed to.
Right, but they weren't mineralized either at the same time.
She said that.
Well,
she said that in the 60 Minutes interview. She said that it ate the mineralization off the outside of it so that she could see it.
Okay, I'll pull something up for you from her paper.
But what are you trying to assert by bringing her up is what I'm asking, because we may be arguing about nothing here. I'm not sure what you're getting at.
Well, I'm going to show you several things right here.
Because she even says in there that she says it's 80 million years old in the 60 Minute interview.
Okay,
so
let me show you her paper here. Let me see. This is from the Royal Society, and then they've truncated it, but I'm going to have to pull it up from somewhere else to show you after the abstract, though. But here's the abstract. Can you see it, or do I need to share that?
You got to share it for me to put it on screen.
Okay. Now this is Mary's paper, and by the way, yeah, she was attacked, and she was afraid, and she had a lot of reason to be afraid. The first thing that
she was mad.
Yeah, well, yeah, I followed this pretty closely. She was attacked, and they were implying that they didn't know the difference between biofilm and biological tissues, and that they were quacks for having misrepresented their findings. Well, I don't know if you know who she worked for, but she worked for oh gosh, what's his name? Jack. Anyway, he was like the top paleontologist in his field for decades. He was the science advisor for the Jurassic Park movies. Had the biggest name in paleontology, a huge lab, great reputation. And so his reputation was being dragged through the mud. Mary earned her PhD, though, by proving, first of all, through numerous tests, that these were biological tissues and not just biofilm. And then she went on to do this experiment right here. This is a role for iron and oxygen chemistry in preserving soft tissues, cells and molecules from deep time. And in the abstract, she says some really important stuff here. The persistence of original soft tissues in Mesozoic fossil bone is not explained by current chemical degradation models. In other words, this is why she said it was impossible in the 60 Minutes interviews and BBC and others, because these things have half-lives. These materials all have half-lives, and yeah, this is real science coming up against real science.
So you are claiming that they're not 80 million years old.
I'm claiming that they can't be.
Well, I don't know how you're gonna cite Mary Schweitzer when I just showed you in the very interview you gave. She says they're 80 million years old. In the interview that I showed you, that was her talking. Mm-hmm. She says that these things have been misrepresented as things that they are not, and they're using it to try and argue about the age when that is not a question. It's more about fossil formation. It has nothing to do with the age of these things. There were not soft tissues like found inside the bone, just soft tissues laying there. It was a result of the acid that she put on it. She found where those blood vessels were, and it increased their understanding of how those things fossilize.
That's the problem. They weren't fossilized.
That they were, and she says so. Here, listen to what she says again.
Well, hold on. Can I read this for you?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. let me go back to this because I'm going to have to bring up the full article for you.
Mary Schweitzer has been very vocal for years now about this and about creationists trying to take and misrepresent her work as if she found cells and soft tissues in these fossils when she didn't. And that's exactly what she just said with her own voice in what I played.
Yeah.
So I kind of have a problem with what you're trying to drive at here, but so this is essentially quote mining now, because in the very interview you showed,
I'm not quote mining. I can promise you that. This right here, if you're sharing this for everybody,
it's up there.
This is the same paper. Only I had to give you my copy of this because at the site that we were just at, where it was printed up, they've only got the up to the abstract. This is the full article. So once we get past the abstract, we go down to the introduction. Now, this is what I find interesting. Preservation of structures in fossils that were not originally mineralized in the living organisms is uncommon, but it is represented in microbes, plants, and animals in disparate environments throughout the fossil record. So right there, she's telling you not all of this stuff is fossilized. Not all of it is mineralized. There are some aspects of this soft tissue left. She goes on to say, soft tissue structures retaining some aspects of the original material and thus not completely replaced replicas have been described in Mesozoic fossil bone as early as the 1960s.
Yeah.
In other words, they've been finding soft tissue for over 50 years before they even said anything about it. And she was the first one to say something about this.
Why do you think that is?
I think that's because they got a dog in the race. And that this is not going to be good publicity. Well, conspiracy happens, brother. It happens.
So no, you're right, it does, but to suggest it with no evidence is irrational.
Well, I would suggest that that's the only alternative I can come up with.
Aunt Jer, sorry, 1 second, Eric. Aunt Jer, will you keep an eye on that and handle it in chat there? If he can't behave, just go ahead and ban him.
Let me check. I hope I don't have any friends acting up out there.
Master Pastor is making misogynistic remarks about not having to listen to women and stuff like that.
Master Pastor, I don't know you, but I'm going to ask, please settle down.
Yeah, don't act like that.
I apologize for that.
No, it's not you. He's here all the time. He comes often. We have to keep an eye on him sometimes, but
yeah,
no big deal.
That's okay. So you see, she does go into her paper as she goes down into the introduction. We do see that she comes right out and tells us that there is soft tissue structures retaining
structures,
of the original material and thus not completely replaced replicas. In other words, those really were blood vessels.
Yes.
Now,
At one time, they were blood vessels.
Yeah, and they're still not completely fossilized. That's what showed was what was not yet complete.
She didn't say that. In fact, in the interview I showed, she said the opposite, that she did not find soft tissues that weren't fossilized.
Well, that's not.
I mean, it's her words. I don't know what else to tell you. Like
that's not what she's saying. Look here.
She said, he says, what do you think about creationists saying that you found soft tissues, cells, DNA, and all those things in fossilized dinosaur bones? And she said, all of those are wrong. That's not what I was saying. That's what she said in what I showed.
That's because at that point she hadn't tested any of that stuff to see
this was well after the fact. This was just a couple years ago.
Right. She had not tested and up until that point. But there's something else you should know about this too. Do you realize that her boss is not going to let that dinosaur be carbon tested?
Why would they carbon test it?
And do you know why he won't? He says it's because of the spin creationists will get from what they find.
Right, because carbon testing will give a date between 10,000 and 60,000 years. They know it's 80 million years old. So if they carbon test it, it's going to give a date in that range because that's the only dates it gives. Well, so it's the wrong tool for the job. So why would they carbon test it?
If they carbon tested it and it really is 80 million years old, they should find nothing.
That's not true. All in the water. It's in.
And references therein soft tissue structures retaining some aspects of the original material and thus not completely replaced replicas have been described. In other words, these are not completely fossilized. They have been described and in the Mesozoic fossils. Now, the exceptional preservation has been observed for decades, but is not addressed by models of fossilization processes. So there she goes again, admitting that it's been decades we've known this, and yet we haven't told anybody until recently. But it is not addressed by models of fossilization processes.
It's addressed by her as being misrepresented by you.
And now, let's see.
How do you explain that? That's my problem here. How do you explain that the person that you are quoting says that you are misrepresenting her and lying about her work? How do you explain that?
She gave us the numbers to prove this.
But look, you can't quote somebody and say this is my source when she says you're wrong, right? She's saying this is not what my work shows, and she's a believer.
And she didn't say I'm wrong about what I'm about to show you.
No, but you're misrepresenting. Like you're talking about she found what she found and stuff, like saying it wasn't originally. Why do you think they said it wasn't originally mineralized instead of saying it wasn't mineralized at all? Why do you think they said it that way?
Because it was
Because we're talking about the formation of fossils. That was what they discovered here, is how these things form differently than what they thought. It has nothing to do with the age of it or finding carbon in it or any of that stuff. None of that was part of this at all.
You're forgetting half-lives.
What's
the half-life of collagen?
Oh, I don't know. I don't know off the top of my head. I'd have to look it up to give you an exact number.
Would you like that number?
You can give it to me if you want. I mean, they didn't find live collagen though.
Well, sure they did. Can you see here the effect of collagen turnover of the accumulation of advanced glaciation and products? Can you see this?
I can see the paper you have on screen.
Okay, is that what it says?
It's whatever you were showing a minute ago. You have to share whatever you want me to see.
Okay. Okay, basically you're going to find that there's several different types of collagen. You can, down here, we find out, for instance, that skin collagen only has a half-life of 15 years.
Yeah.
There's also blood collagen, has a half-life of, it's even worse, 7 or 8 days. The longest cartilage half-life that we have is the collagen is found in cartilage. And that's 117 years old. 117 years is its half-life. Now, do you guys know approximately how many half-lives it takes before you basically have nothing measurable to work with?
Like 10.
Yeah, roughly 10. And you brought up a good example of that earlier when we were discussing carbon-14 has a half-life of 5,730 years, right? Give or take 40. So
5,700 years, yeah.
Yeah, so 10 half-lives would be 57,000 years, which is why we basically don't try to carbon date anything over 60,000 years or so.
Oh, but it's worse than that. See, we can carbon date things up to 60,000 years, but for research purposes, they very rarely carbon date anything over 25,000 years.
Yeah.
Because carbon is in almost everything, and whenever you get down to those smaller amounts, it's harder. You're looking for such a small amount of decay that it's not as reliable. So it can do it, but it's not ever used as a primary dating method on things that old. It can be in, like, they may use it to confirm something else or something like that. But as far as like a dating method, they rarely use it on anything older than 25,000 years because there's so much carbon in everything.
Yeah, well, the longest collagen half-life that we have to work with is 117 years half-life. So 10 half-lives of 117 years would be what?
What are you measuring the half-life of in collagen? What radioactive material?
Collagen. It's not a radioactive material.
Then you're not measuring half-lives.
Well, yes, I am. Collagen has a half-life. Yeah, biological materials all have half-lives, brother. You may not realize this, but look.
Right, biological materials that contain like carbon-14, they find the half-lives of the carbon-14. A half-life refers to the decay of a radioactive particle. That's what it's about. The collagen itself doesn't have a half-life.
Let me correct you, brother. The present study thus persuades the first experimental evidence that protein turnover is a major determinant in age accumulation and different collagen types. From the age-related increase in percentage D-S, the half-life of cartilage collagen was calculated to be 117 years. And that of skin collagen, 15 years. There you go.
Yeah, I'm wrong. You're right. It does have a half-life.
Yeah.
Okay, so what's the point you're trying to make?
Okay. We have actual math to work with then. Now I've got to go back to the other article. Now that we have it determined, 117 years is your longest half-life for college. Now I'm going to stop sharing that, and I'm going to go back over here.
Where did we find collagen? That kind of collagen? Because Mary Swatzer didn't, and she says she didn't.
Well, yeah, they did find collagen in there.
Why did she say she didn't?
She didn't say she never found collagen in there.
That does.
As a matter of fact, I can pull up the CNN thing where she does list collagen as the things that among the things that she's found. All you have to do is go through.
Right.
Yeah.
But what you're talking about, so there's different types of collagen. Some collagen, I just looked up, has a half-life as low as 15 years. You're right about collagen having its own half-lives.
That's the skin collagen, right?
Right.
Skin collagen has a half-life of 15 years. Blood collagen is just 7 or 8 days. 117 years is for the collagen we find in cartilage. Now, let me show you this. So now that we have a half-life of 117 years, let's look at her other numbers. And what she did here in this abstract, since they can't understand how something could last 80 million years, 68 million years, and in the case of the ichthyosaur, over 300 million years of soft tissue, they're trying to find out what can make it last this long. So what she did, she said that we noticed an increased an abundance of oxygen and iron in the materials there. And so we're going to see if that could extend the life of any of this stuff to go like 68 million years. So what she did, she takes the blood of an ostrich from an ostrich egg, and she preserves proteins in them. She just sets them aside. And these proteins should have been gone in 3 days. But she was able to increase the stability from 3 days over 200-fold to more than 2 years at room temperature in the ostrich blood. Okay, so this, as we often say, is the best numbers that we've got. In other words, the longest she was able to preserve these proteins, the longest she was able to was 200-fold. Now, let's say that's true. Okay, now let's do the math. If you have a 117-year half-life for collagen, and then you give it the 10 half-lives to where there should basically nothing left under, most normal circumstances, you've only got 1,170 years. That's all. But let's be generous, and let's give that the 200-fold increase that Mary was able to get. And I would like to reiterate here that there are no other tests that gives us a higher number than a 200-fold increase. No other tests have ever been done that yielded a longer preservation than this 200-fold here. So if you have 1,170 years and you multiply it 200-fold, which will give us the most outrageous outside upper limit of the age of these bones, all we have is 234,000 years. Not even a quarter of a million. Not even a quarter of 1 million years. So there we go. Now, my contention at this point is that the very next thing that we should have done at this point, when we see that these tests are telling us that these bones can't even be 1 million years old. And what she said earlier, they can't be 1 million years old.
She said they were twice.
Well, they can't be. They can't, according to these numbers.
I don't know how in the world it is you're going, because look, I'm not a scientist and you're not a scientist, right?
No, but I know how to do math.
Right, but
She
you
gives
want
us
to
the numbers,
you
and
want
she
to
gave
cite
us.
a source from a scientist who is telling you these are 80 million years old. She said it
She didn't.
twice.
She didn't tell us these are 80 million years.
I'll play it again. She
Well,
did. She said it in your video too,
she said
twice.
80 million years. Go figure.
She said 80 million years in the video you played too.
Yeah,
So how in the world are you going
she
to
says
sit here?
she
How are you
said
going to sit here? Hold on, let me talk. How are you going to sit here and use her as a source and then try to say, well, it can't be this old whenever she's saying there's no question about how old it is. It's 80 million years old.
Are you saying her numbers here are wrong, or the half-life of collagen is wrong?
I'm saying she didn't say it. She
Are
didn't
you
say
saying-
what you're saying she said. You're
All
doing math, and obviously you're getting it wrong because
How
they
am I
verified the ages of those bones in multiple ways.
Well,
I'm looking at the paper on it right. How does that sound?
yeah, that's what we're doing. This is what we're. First of all, let's go to the 117-year half-life for collagen.
Let's not. It has
you have
nothing to
something-
do with this.
Do you have something you can pull that up?
Yeah, I can show you. I can show you the page right now.
No, can you pull up something where we can actually do the math?
No, I mean you can walk. I mean, I don't want to go through all that.
I want
for
you
to
to
do math on something that nobody said they found.
I want you to do the math with me to show me where I'm wrong.
I don't think you're wrong about the math. I think you're wrong about the findings.
No. What how can I be wrong about this? She said that we're finding these things, these soft tissues in these bones that are not fully mineralized. Now, it's also true that all of these things have half-lives. They're not fully mineralized. That's her wording. That means they're not.
Listen to what she said again.
Hold on.
That
means
means
that
research
they're
is
not.
used
Listen
to
to what
support
she said.
claims that working blood vessels, fresh blood cells.
They ask her straightforward about all the things you're saying here, right? This is what they
I was
asked.
recently in a Young Earth seminar where your research was used to support claims that working blood vessels, fresh blood cells, and intact DNA had been found in dinosaur cells or dinosaur fossils. Is that a fair characterization of your research?
It's wrong on all counts. Do we have blood cells? No, we do not have blood cells. I don't have the data to support that. We do have very rigorous evidence for DNA as the chemical in our dinosaur bones. And furthermore, it localizes using chemical methods to these osteocytes where you would expect it to be. But can I say it's dinosaur DNA? No, I can't, because it can be anything else on the planet
There you
unless
go.
I have sequence.
Okay.
And sequencing the DNA we pull out of our bones.
Do you not see a problem with trying to say they found
you
live
know-
collagen, but they didn't find DNA? You don't
The
see
only-
a problem with that?
What are you talking about?
They didn't find any DNA. What you're saying that they found
She
collagen? That
she
was
didn't say that at all.
She
said
just
they.
did.
That's
She
not
said-
what she said.
She said,
Say
did
that
I
again.
find dinosaur
Say that
DNA?
again.
No, I can't say that. It could be anything. She just said that.
Yeah, it could be anything. Why is she saying that? Because they hadn't had the ability to test it yet.
Right, because they haven't been able to sequence
DNA.
it. They haven't been able to sequence it because they haven't found a sample they can sequence.
There you
So
go.
making this
She
leap.
does say that they found DNA traces, but they're not able to sequence it, and she
Right.
can't say that
They
it's
found the chemical.
Can I
signatures
finish the
of
sentence,
DNA.
brother?
Yeah, you've said it over and over.
You're not letting me finish my point.
Go ahead.
What she said was they weren't able to sequence the DNA, but can she say but it was DNA traces nonetheless, and can she say it was dino DNA? No, because they have not run the test.
Then why are you saying they found things they didn't?
I'm not.
She didn't say. She said they found the chemical signatures of DNA. She didn't say they found testable DNA.
I didn't say she found testable DNA.
I said I'm not telling you what you said. I'm telling you what she said.
Right? I never challenged that, did I?
Right. So if we're finding live collagen like you claim in these bones, right? Because we do find stuff like that in fossils up to 300,000 years old. So if we're finding that, why is it that we're not just processing DNA on all kinds of dinosaurs then? Why aren't we finding that everywhere if they're not that old? Yeah, all of our dating methods say that they are 80 million years old.
This is from Nature magazine. You know, the Nature, the peer-reviewed magazine.
I'm familiar with it. Yeah.
Mechanisms of soft tissue and protein preservation, and
Right.
he goes cited by 42 people.
Yes, preservation does not mean that it's still soft.
E.M. Boatman, will you let me make a point and quit interrupting me, please? I'm being kind to you, brother. Be kind to me.
Well, I thought you were done.
It goes on to say, we demonstrate the endogeneity of the fossil vessel tissues, as well as the presence of type 1 collagen in the outermost vessel of layers. There you go. It's type 1 collagen.
They did. Oh, are you done?
I'm just saying, yes, they found collagen.
They found preserved collagen, yes.
Okay, there you go.
Do you know what preserved means?
No, they found collagen.
They have not. They have. That's not anywhere. It says in there they found preserved stuff.
AI overview. Mary Schweitzer, a paleontologist at North Carolina State University, discovered collagen and other soft tissue in a 65-million-year-old Tyrannosaurus thigh bone in 2005. There you go. They discovered collagen and other soft tissue. Period. Okay, now we have something with which we can do math. Okay, we can do the actual math. And I'm being generous. I'm not counting blood.
You're not. You're discounting the words of the person that you're citing. You're
I'm telling you,
exactly what
you're misunderstanding.
You're lying. I mean, you're
not believing
honest as
the
possible
article here. I want you to pull up something that says they did not find collagen in these bones, because I've pulled up 3 sources.
It's not that they didn't find collagen. That's not the problem here. You're misunderstanding the work. Okay? Just because they found sites of preserved collagen whenever they dissolved it in acid does not mean that they found living collagen. If they had done that, it would have been no problem to have this DNA. Why do we not have dinosaur DNA?
What are you talking about?
I mean, that supports what I'm trying to tell you, that they can find preserved collagen. That was the discovery. They found these preserved blood vessels and collagen. They found it preserved. Whenever they dissolved it in acid, then it was soft tissue. It wasn't just soft tissue sitting in these bones.
What difference are you trying to make here saying they found it preserved? That's my point.
It was fossilized.
It's not fossilized.
It was.
Do you not know what not mineralized means?
They said it was preserved.
Do you not know what it means when she says it's not mineralized? Do you not know?
I don't know what else to do. She says you're wrong. So I'm going to go with that.
You're misunderstanding. Do you not know what it means when she says the persistence of original soft tissues? In other words, the original soft tissues are being found persistently in Mesozoic fossil bones. And the fact that it is being found is not explained by current chemical degradation models. So I don't know why you're choosing this hill to die on. But my gosh, we're never going to get through this.
Because you're taking leaps to try and do math of something that's irrelevant to the whole thing. And
what is irrelevant about her math?
It's not her math. It's your math that's the problem.
Oh, how is it my math?
Because she's telling you it's 80 million years old, and you're saying, well, I'm going to use her work to say it's something else. Like, that's not how it works.
You're afraid to sit down and do the math.
What math are we going to do? They dated the
half-life of
fossils to
collagen.
80 million years old.
The half-life of collagen proves that those bones cannot be anything older than 250,000 years old.
So you are okay. So
234,000.
So you are a young Earth creationist.
No, I'm not a young Earth creationist.
Then why this argument about trying to say dinosaur bones are younger than they are? What is the point?
Because young Earth creationist does not mean that I think dinosaurs died out 65 million years ago. I'm not a fish. I know how to do math.
It's look,
and a young Earth creationist says the Earth is only 6,000 years old. I say the flood happened during the Younger Dryas, 12,600 years ago. But I believe the Earth is probably much older than this. I believe that our Earth sees cycles of life and death and extinction and rebirth of life. That's what I believe. But did dinosaurs die out 85 million years ago? No. Not according to the half-lives of these soft tissues that we're finding in them.
But why are you...
Now, the next best thing... Now, look, she tells us right here, the persistence of the original soft tissues in Mesozoic fossil bone is not explained.
Why are you ignoring one thing she says and citing another?
I'm not ignoring anything she says.
She said
I'm telling you,
80 million years old. Well, she said that this information
you're intimidated.
Cannot be used to argue the age of these bones. Why are you doing it?
I think it's funny that you're too intimidated to even work on this math.
I'm citing the scientists that you're misrepresenting.
No,
what are you talking about?
You're not doing the math.
I don't give a fuck about the math.
Well,
she's telling you it's not that old.
So you're not. So you're just going to throw science to the side.
The scientist you are citing refutes the point you're making. What do you want
she
me to
doesn't.
do?
She makes my point.
She just did 3 fucking times.
She makes my.
Like,
you don't have to.
You're hearing what you want
If I'm reducing you to cussing right now over math.
So what? I cuss all the time. This channel's known for cussing. What are you talking about?
If we can't have a civil discussion over that, that's sad.
You're not listening is the problem.
But you're not even letting me draw this out.
You've said it over and over.
You won't
I'm telling you,
out, will
the person you are citing says you are wrong. So what now?
So
why do you keep citing a person?
I want to ask anybody
wrong?
in your audience if they're willing to come up here with me and do this math.
This is my channel. Nobody else is coming up here.
So you're not going to do the math, and you're not going to allow anybody in your audience.
Why do I want to do the math? She's telling you you're
why
wrong.
Do you do the math?
You've already done the math. You did
why
it
am
twice.
If you're not going to do the math, why am I here?
Did you not do the math twice? Did you not sit here and tell me collagen is 117 years old? Nick, years old, and 10 half-lives makes it this. Did you not sit and go through that?
Dude, I had to teach you that collagen had a half-life in the first place.
Yes, you told me, and I was wrong, and I admitted I was wrong.
Okay, you're wrong about this too,
does that make you right? Let's for a minute.
My math is right.
Let's just
there's not an atheist out there that's ever shown my math to be wrong.
Your math isn't wrong, it's just misused.
I challenge you to show me that this math is wrong. And that those bones are older than 234,000 years old, according to the half-life of collagen.
They dated the bones. They're not.
You know, they didn't need a 200-fold increase for it to reach 50,000 years. Or 68 million years. They needed a 55,000 increase, 55,000-fold increase, not a 200-fold increase.
Listen,
that's not what they got.
Here's I've got a whole list of references on this very issue. Okay, a whole list of them. You want me to just show the page?
If you don't want to go through the math, that's okay. We don't have to.
No, I don't want to sit and listen to you go through the math again. You already did.
You're probably one of the same guys that's going to say every fossil is a transitional fossil too.
That's how evolution works.
Oh, really? Show me one that's been tested and proven to be transitional.
What do you
I
mean?
see all the claims.
The theory of evolution tells you that all the fossils are transitional. Evolution is always progressive.
Yeah.
So
Where's
they're all
where
transitional.
Where are the tests that prove it?
What test would you like to prove it?
Oh, so you don't believe your science has to be testable and repeatable?
No, I asked what test would you like to prove it?
Okay, let's prove to me that the Archaeopteryx is descended from a theropod dinosaur and descended into birds.
Okay, so the reason that they do that, they don't have to know exactly which biological animal it came from. Theropods is a whole.
I didn't ask you for a line of BS. I asked you for the testing that proves they are related.
So look, if I'm explaining to you what you asked, and if you're gonna do that, I'll just mute you while I answer your question. But I'm trying to answer your question if you'll let me.
Sure.
So the Archaeopteryx, it is a transition from when we're seeing avian dinosaurs, right, and into birds, and it's got features of both. The observations of the bones and the arms.
Avian, it's supposed to be descended from a theropod dinosaur.
Yeah. The bones in the hands, the bones in the wings, however you want to call that part and stuff. We see those bones, how they've changed over time. Not knowing exactly which population it came from genetically.
How do you mean
irrelevant.
how they changed over time?
Huh?
You're assuming all of that. You're assuming they've changed over time.
No, that's the published science on this.
You're assuming they're related. You have no proof.
Right, because they have the same bones and they made small changes over time. So yeah, we do assume that they're related because the theory of evolution is supported by the fact of evolution.
Okay, well, show me the DNA tests that prove they're related.
We don't have that. If what you were saying was true, we would have dinosaur DNA, but unfortunately we don't.
So you're looking at this and you're saying every fossil is transitional because I looked at them and they look similar.
No, I'm saying because of the theory of evolution, they're all transitional.
Well, because of the theory of evolution, they look similar, therefore they are related.
That's not how that works, but okay.
Well, that's exactly how it works because you don't have any tests.
No, we have other fossils. We have other fossils before and after those that you see.
And you're assuming they're related too, with no proof whatsoever.
Right.
You don't have any. You don't have things.
So it's not an absolute claim, but it fits the theory of evolution.
It is an absolute claim. I hear it every stinking day, and you just said it yourself.
What's that?
That every fossil is transitional. When you don't
have the theory of evolution,
as a matter of fact, not only do you not have the proof that even one is transitional, not even one, where we do get the DNA to test them, you're wrong. Look at the dire wolf, for instance. The dire wolf, we eventually was able to sequence that. It's not at all related to wolves, not at all. And it was declared that for 150 years.
It's not as closely related. There's no two.
It's not related to wolves at
all. There
are
no two living things that are not related.
They are not related to wolves at all. If you read the articles, you'll see they evolutionists.
It's not in the same family of wolves. I understand that. What you're not getting.
There you go. So yes. and even mankind's.
Do you know what cladistics is?
Even mankind's alleged evolution is a sham. For instance,
come on.
You have Neanderthal. You have Neanderthal listed as Neanderthalis. What is that? He's not listed as a Homo sapien. We have the other Denisovan, not listed as a Homo sapien. And yet, what is the definition of a species?
So,
what is a species? Do you know?
I do, but can I just go ahead and address what you're going to say instead of going through all that?
Well, no, I'll tell you what a species is.
Go ahead.
A species are like living forms that are able to reproduce for the offspring.
Right.
That's what a species is.
Right, and the Denisovians and Neanderthals mated with humans, right?
Neanderthals, Denisovans, and humans. Right. By the 300-year-old definition We
So-
are the same species.
So let me. Would you like me to explain?
Yet
to you?
we are misidentified as three separate species in order to keep the illusion
Have
of
you seen
evolution.
the bones of those things?
What difference does that make? A chihuahua,
That is all the difference because
a chihuahua and a wolf. Look at the size of the difference there.
listen.
Yet they are
let
the
me-
same species.
Can I have 2 minutes to explain something? Can I just give me 2 minutes uninterrupted to explain something about this? Okay. The definition of species sucks. I agree. The definition of species sucks. It's way better than kind, but it still sucks. I agree with you.
It only sucks for you.
Will you let me speak for 2 minutes uninterrupted? Is what I
It
just
only
asked you
sucks
for.
for you, dude. Because
I asked you nicely to let me speak for a minute.
Go ahead.
So, yes, sometimes in closely related species, they can breed with other species. That we see that, but we don't usually refer to as Neanderthals and Denisovans as a different species, even though that's what you're saying isn't wrong. But we don't usually do that. That's what an actual race is, because those are still humans. We agree on that. They're still humans. They're just not Homo sapiens. And
I'm afraid
the reason they are not Homo sapiens is because when we look at those bones, they were different. There's a whole population that is different. So we gave a name to that population.
For the first time ever, you can make your photos talk, sing, and dance with flawless hand and body.
Yes,
Okay.
closely related things can
So
still.
are you saying wolves and chihuahuas are not the same species?
No, I'm not.
Well,
I'm saying, well, they're not the same species, but
look at their bones. How is that any different? That's your argument with mankind. Hold on.
Sorry.
That's your argument with Homo sapien, Neanderthal, and Denisovan is the bones. Look at the difference in the bones.
Have you heard of a liger?
Yet you agree with me.
Lions and tigers, they have mated, right? And made ligers, right?
Okay.
Yes, those are different species, but yet they're able to mate them. I mean, you can mate.
Okay, so they're misclassified too.
So yes.
And it gives us an appearance of evolution where there is none.
No, what I'm trying to say is the definition of species is not as we understood it to be originally.
Well, it only gives the atheist a hard time, brother.
It does. The definition of species is a problem. I agree, and I think that scientists admit that too. But whenever we talk about like Homo naledi or Homo africensis or the Neanderthals, the species level is different, but they're still within the same family, right?
Well, I don't know.
I mean, that's how we name those things, and we name them that way, and we make phylogenetic charts out of it, right? That show these things are in a clade together, and they're related to these other phylogeny, right? That's how we do
Homo
it.
erectus.
Homo erectus would be in that chart with us too.
With us?
Yes.
How do you know that when we don't have its DNA?
Because it's in the Homo genus.
Why, when we don't have its DNA?
Because of its similarities. Because of those
similarities.
Small changes. We could be wrong. If we get DNA that shows that it's not as closely related as we think, then we will sure move that bitch in a second.
Well, I don't know if you will or not, because look at Neanderthal. Oh, we just talked about Neanderthal. That hasn't been moved. We know the truth about Neanderthal now and Denisovan now.
Where did we move it to?
Well, we haven't corrected that, have we?
What are we correcting?
We still have them listed as separate species.
They are.
How?
It's
by definition, we are the same species.
That definition doesn't hold. We mate tigers and lions.
Wait.
Would you agree tigers and lions are two different species?
That was a man-made classification, just like mammal.
Yes, it is man-made.
It's a man-made classification.
Those charts are a representation.
If we're not going to go by the rules, trash the rules.
If everything was as you say, we would have DNA for all those things, but we don't. So we do organize these things by phenotype, and whenever we do that, sometimes we find out later that we were wrong about those things. But it's just a way to let me finish. It's just a way to classify similar things. Sometimes we get a better understanding of it and have to move things. That happens. But here's the problem. So if there's something else you want to hit real quick, I have a point I want to make. So say whatever you want to say, and then let me make my point real quick, okay?
You can go ahead and make your point.
Okay. So here's the issue. When you contacted me, you said that the science was on your side.
Yes.
And I understand why. I understand what it is you're trying to get at here. But even if you sit here and show that evolution is bullshit and show that Mary Schweitzer found a steak on a dinosaur, it does nothing to prove. It does nothing to support any kind of creationist narrative. Even if I give you the Earth is 10,000 years old, it does nothing to show anything you're saying.
I wouldn't say the Earth is 10,000 years old.
Well, I know. I just gave that as an example.
I would say the Earth is far older. As a matter of fact, I give it the possibility that it's older than you believe it is.
I say 4.5 to 4.8 is the number I use.
Well, I say that nobody knows, and anybody that claims they do, I think they're living in.
Why?
I really do.
Can I ask a question that's outside of the argument here?
Sure.
Why do you think that creation apologetics is so centered on poking holes in understood science, and even if that science is wrong? Because, like, for example, and I'm not saying you agree with everything they say on Standing for Truth, but for example, Standing for Truth, they go all the live long day trying to poke holes in genetics and evolution. But does that do anything to support a creationist narrative at all?
Well, for instance, if you can see that, according to the half-lives here that we have for collagen, those bones can't even be 234,000 years old. Yeah, okay. That makes it.
So if I give you that, where does that leave us?
If I can make this one point on this, think about this for just a moment. That means that the age of those dinosaur bones would be less than 234,000 years old.
Okay.
If that is so, then there is no time for a common ancestor to bring forth apes and humans and chimps. There's no time for that. There's no time for a common ancestor to evolve from a theropod dinosaur to an Archaeopteryx and then on to birds.
So that leaves us at I don't know. Now what?
No, that leaves us with evolution as it's taught is absolutely impossible.
Okay, evolution sucks. Now what?
Because we don't. There's no room for the Pachycetus to turn into a modern whale, a dog-sized land mammal.
Why are you still doing this? I'm giving you this. I'm saying okay, fine.
Okay,
now what?
You asked what the problem or what it proves. That's what I'm telling you.
Okay, so evolution is wrong, and the Earth isn't as old as they say it is, or it's older, or whatever. Whatever you think. I'll give you that evolution is completely wrong about everything. It's made up and all that. Where does that leave us is the problem. That's what I'm getting at. I think this conversation has been centered around poking holes in science and science denial is what I'm going to call it
because we have on the table two possibilities to describe all the myriad forms of life that we have on the table today. And we've only got two that I know of that I've ever heard of.
Either God did it or he didn't, right?
Either God did it or evolution did it. Okay.
No.
It could be that
it
God
could
did
be
it.
an unknown mechanisms. You have to. That's a false dichotomy. It's either God did it or God didn't.
You come up with number three. Okay.
Number three would be some unknown process that we don't yet understand.
Which that's
some hyper evolution in spermia even. I'm not saying that those are the answer. I'm just saying that there are multiple other explanations.
Well, there's not many, okay? And once you eliminate one, you eliminate two. Like Sherlock Holmes says, once you've eliminated all these other things, the one that you've got left is your answer. There you go. Now, you see, we don't just have to go by this, too.
So you would have to show a God exists in him for it to be a possible explanation.
I actually know that a God exists. Yes, I do.
That's what I want evidence of. That's what I thought you were bringing.
Well, I told you what I was bringing.
I know.
Science. And
at the beginning of the stream you did. Yeah, I know.
And before this, I also mentioned that, I'd like to bring forth three different things from science.
Right.
Now, the second thing that I would bring forth, we can agree to disagree on all this stuff if you like. But like I said, I just want to.
Why are we trying to poke holes in science is my question. Why are we doing this?
I just wanted an opportunity to share with you.
No,
and
okay.
I think what I've given to you and your audience so far should be enough to rattle your cage a little bit to make you reconsider what you are believing.
You misrepresented a scientist so far.
No, I didn't misrepresent her at all.
Well,
I didn't
we
even
don't
get
have
to
to go back
into
into that, but that's what I think you did, and that's what she says you did.
Yeah, I didn't.
What? Right. I don't think you intentionally did it. I think that.
I didn't misrepresent her at all, because she did find collagen. Other people admit it. She admits it. You wanted to argue that, but she did.
But why are you taking one thing she says and not listening to the part where she says?
I'm listening to everything she says.
She says you're wrong. Then, so what? Why are you not listening to that?
No, she's not saying I'm wrong. I can't even get you to sit down with a pen and paper and do this math with me to prove me wrong.
Yeah.
You're just saying she disagreed with you. Well, no, these are her numbers.
She has addressed your claim, is what I'm saying.
She didn't address this
claim.
That
your claim is a misrepresentation.
She did not address this claim. She has never addressed the claim that I'm making.
What in
now.
the world? That's what. Okay, let's move on. 1 second before we move on, though. Just 1 second. Okay. Windows 97. If you're wanting to talk to me, here you go. Contact me on my email or my Discord or something like that. I'll put. Sorry, I see this going on in chat, and I'm trying to calm it down. There's all my stuff where you can contact me. Contact me and I'll talk to you. I mean, that's how Eric got a hold of me. And today I'm talking to Eric. So I'm going to let Eric say what he wants to say. If you want to talk, I'll put you on. You can come talk to me too. As long as I don't go look at your stuff and find out you're some kind of crazy bigot or something. Because that happens sometimes on both sides of this, to be honest. Atheist for Liberty is a thing, right?
Yeah.
Anyway, go ahead with your next point, Eric. Sorry.
Okay, that's okay. And next time I see you, I'm going to remember a couple of your points and I'll address them for you. Okay. On this point here, regarding the 200-fold increase and the collagen, etc.
It's time to talk business, people. People want to know what we here at the Carter Showroom are thinking.
Even if I have to just email you some stuff, I'll do that. But the second thing that I wanted to bring in is astrophysics. Because we obviously got here somehow.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people that believe that this universe has a beginning, and some of them call that the Big Bang. Some of them believe in a Big Bang, but don't believe that was really the beginning. And then some people will believe God created. Some people believe that it's a static universe. It's always existed.
Some people believe a lot of things.
Yeah.
Can I comment on just a definition real quick?
Sure.
So scientists don't assert that the Big Bang was the beginning of the universe. It's just the rapid expansion of space-time.
Hey,
they never say that it's the beginning. I mean, the expansion begins, but space and time existed in a very compressed area and then expanded. That's what the Big Bang is.
I agree with you on that point. I've never agreed with the point that time and space didn't exist before the Big Bang. I think that's a ridiculous statement.
Right. I actually do too, and I think most astrophysicists agree with that.
Yeah.
That it's the laws of thermodynamics even would agree with that. So
yes, sir.
I just wanted to be clear about that because we have, like you said, people believe multiple things, and so let's be clear about our definitions of things. Go ahead, man. Sorry.
That's okay. Anyway, when I look at the history of the universe, we have many different models of the universe. We all know that, or at least most of us do. And the most popular model of the universe, though, is the one that receives all the funding. And I find that really interesting. I've followed this for decades as well, and I find the history of the universe to be really interesting. Kind of a compelling, I don't know, comedy of errors. Yeah, I guess you could put it. But I do believe that everybody's been trying to explain things the best way that they can. But let's look at the Big Bang itself. We began with the idea that there was a sudden expansion, boom, and this blew up into the universe that we see today. Eventually, now that was received and accepted by a lot of people, and probably most of the world. But there were a lot of people that still disagreed with it. And there were two things that they would always bring up that caused this to fail, our model of the universe at the time, and that was flatness and horizon.
Sure.
So flatness, we know that the universe appears to be flat. And why that's struck everybody so odd is the fact that if this was truly an expansion, a sudden expansion, it should have been even, like a balloon, big and round. That's what our universe should look like, but it doesn't. It looks flat. So in the and then there's horizon, which has to do with the fine tuning of the universe. So both of those things tended to falsify it. And that's when Dr. Guth come along, Dr. Alan Guth from MIT. And he gave us inflationary theory, well, perfected it. Now, if you go to his actual paper, he came out with this in 1980. He published it in 1981. And if you look at the final line in his abstract, what he does, he tells us that we don't quite understand the flatness of the universe, but I believe that this could be acquired if there was a sudden expansion, a sudden superheated expansion that suddenly almost decelerated to a stop, almost, but didn't stop. But it stopped fast enough and cooled down fast enough to where it caused the universe to collapse. He says, I believe that could be the answer for why we have a flat universe. But as of now, the mathematics are not working out. We need to do some work to this. And that's when he surrounded himself with a bunch of theoretical physicists, and they started wrapping it all up in string theory. And that brings on Michio Kaku and scientists of his ilk. Yeah. So after they come out with this, it was in around 1984, 85, 86. A lot of people were really excited and jumping on that bus, but a lot of people were jumping off, including Peter White, professor at Columbia University, who's written books about this, saying that it's not even science because it's not even testable, a lot of this.
Yeah.
But some people said, well, we can at least test its predictions. So they tried to test for what was it? Little tiny bubbles in space and
prediction of string theory.
Yeah, one of the
You're
predictions.
talking about the brains, collision of brains.
Well, the one that they
BRANES.
No, the ones that they tested at CERN was an attempt to produce tiny little black holes.
Okay. Yeah.
So they ran these tests. They were trying to prove supersymmetry was correct, which is one of the aspects of string theory.
Yeah.
So they ran 3 tests in 2012, and then that failed. So they upped its power. They closed it down a while, upped its power, ran another test in 2013. That failed. So they shut it down and they super revamped it, got it a lot more powerful. In 2015, they ran 2 more tests and both of those failed. So that gave us headlines like supersymmetry fails. Now we've got to find a new theory of everything. But instead of finding a new theory of everything, what they did, they made certain observations and they lumped it all together under dark matter and dark energy because they noticed some things that are not going on. Like, for instance, we have galaxies and galaxies that should have flown apart long ago because of the atomic weight and the rate of spin. But they haven't flown apart. They haven't blown apart. Something is artificially holding them together, and they can't figure out what it is. They call that force dark energy.
Right.
Or, pardon me, dark matter.
Dark matter. Dark energy is the thing driving the expansion, is what they say.
Exactly.
So let me just because we're getting into some complex things in physics here, you're correct, and they don't have a theory of everything, so to speak. They don't have a grand unification theory. The dark matter, while we don't know a whole lot about it, about what it is and everything, we see its effect on other things, just like you said. Galaxies that should have flown apart don't, and there seems to be this, it has a gravitational effect, right? So we see its effect, but we don't directly observe it, dark matter in that case.
Exactly.
And dark energy is proposed to be the energy that is driving the expansion of space, because space is still expanding even faster at the speed of light in some of the outer reaches of it.
Did you know that your favorite productivity solutions are free for eligible nonprofits?
Yeah, it's crazy.
But these are things that, and you're right, they're not well understood. String theory seems to, like, it was a hot thing for a while, but it seems like the math has kind of fallen apart. But I don't know, like, what you've explained a lot of things about science, and that's awesome. I'll have this discussion with you all day long. I'm big into astrophysics and cosmology. But what are you driving at here?
Well, it's like this. We have these facts that we observe, and there seems to be, well, the explanation for this is elusive. But for a Christian that knows their Bible and knows it from the aspect of the original languages, not that I speak them, I don't speak or write the originals, but
there's reference books though, right?
Right, and my studies have been intense. But what I've found is that if there is a God, okay, and God created this universe, would he tell us that he did so? Well, when I was looking through this Bible, through my Bible, I started finding statements that I thought, and this was after, I mean, I've known these statements before I read this about dark matter and dark energy, but after knowing about them, reading about them, and finding these scriptures, it started opening a brand new door, man. And I said, bingo. There's like over a dozen places where God makes this statement in the scriptures in Isaiah and in the book of Psalms. He says, for instance, I am the Lord who stretches forth the heavens like a curtain. And that's present tense. That's not past tense.
Sure.
He's not saying, I stretched forth the heavens.
I would have to look at the translation, but so let me ask you this. Since we've talked about science and you seem to have an understanding of how science works and stuff, whenever we make observations in science, generally what we try to do is make an unbiased observation and let the evidence lead us to the conclusion, right?
Yes.
Like we're trying to look at it and see where it points to. And so I don't think you can say, like, because we don't understand something or because it's elusive and this book over here says this thing, I don't think that's good reason to suggest that that is true. One of my favorite terms, and Robin's going to give me shit here for it, is post hoc rationalization. So because you find the universe elusive and you find this text compelling, you then use this text to explain the elusiveness of the universe. And I think that's a bad way to make decisions about the world. And it's definitely not science.
Well, I look at it a little bit different. I kind of see this as science, because this is a comment that's made 3,500 years before CERN. And 3,500
the Bible says a lot of things that aren't true, though, too.
3,500 years before we knew that the universe was expanding. And, it's easy to say the Bible says there's a lot of things that Bible says a lot of things that ain't true. But to prove that is a completely different thing. I would disagree with you. I haven't found things that the Bible has lied to me about in anything.
Well, I wouldn't say
if I could finish this one point.
Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
That's okay. There's also the dark energy, or the dark matter. The dark matter we're seeing held these things together. In Colossians chapter 1, it tells us that God is the one that's holding all of creation together. The galaxies, the universe, everything. God is the one holding it together. Now, we find all of a sudden then through science that we don't know what's holding it together. And we don't know what's holding, what's expanding the universe. The Bible is making clear statements over and over and over and again that this sentient being, this one that ordered the universe, is the one that did it. So
yeah, but other religions have those explanations too. Why are they wrong and you're right?
Well, that's going to bring us to point number 3. I told you we could move past the second one really quick. My point number 3 is anthropology, mankind. Let's look at the ancient mythologies and ancient religions. I find it fascinating. One of the things that I find fascinating about all this, Joe, is this. When we look at the original things that men worshipped,
right.
What do you call these truncated pyramids? I'm sorry, not temples. What are they called?
What like the Aztec temples or the Mayan temples?
No, like the Tower of Babel, for instance.
The Tower of Babel never existed, or it's never been shown to have existed.
Yes, it still does, as a matter of fact.
Well, nobody's ever found any archaeological evidence to suggest that it does. The book says it does, but there's no evidence outside
Iraq,
the book.
It's in Iraq. I'm sorry, it is in Iraq.
Yeah.
So
okay.
Anyway,
where is the evidence of that? Like you can say that, but there's no scientist that supports that. Well, there might be some creationist scientist charlatan that does, but no mainstream scientist supports the Tower of Babel ever existed at all.
Are you saying
you're just inserting a fact that's not true? Which is the problem. Like, because we don't have an understanding of something, and this is what sorry, I kicked the camera. This is what religion is, though, right? Like, religion is giving explanations for things that you don't understand, that make you feel better, essentially. And
a ziggurat. That's what I was looking for. Do you know what a ziggurat is?
No, I don't. What is
okay.
it?
A ziggurat is what was used before they started making temples. A ziggurat is like a truncated pyramid, for instance.
Okay.
It has a base, usually like a pyramidal base, and then it has a small structure on top, a large flat area, and a small structure up top. Now, it was said that they would build these ziggurats. You'll find the ziggurats all over the place. You can type it up and look for it yourself. These ziggurats are found all over the ancient world, and they existed before temples. And according to the people that built these ziggurats, this was built for beings that would literally come down from the sky among the people and rule over them. These were the people who claimed to be the gods. Okay,
ancient people did that a lot. Yeah, but here's the thing. Let me comment on something you said real quick, just so we don't go too far from it. We know the evolution of what is actually pyramids in Egypt. We've seen that they tried to build pyramids and failed. There's all kinds of remnants of where they were learning to build pyramids and that didn't work out. And eventually they perfected it to what we see as like the pyramids of Giza or whatever. But there was a lot of failed pyramid attempts, and we see that. So I would say that I haven't looked into what you're talking about, but the Egyptians built pyramids and did that. These ziggurat things seem to be a different structure, just like the Mayan temples are a different structure. They're kind of.
Welcome to Human Talk. My name is Emma. I am an artificial intelligence-powered human speech and content writing robot.
Shaped that way because ancient people knew you could stack things up, start with a wider base and go smaller, and that they had similar building techniques because that's an easy way to build something. But
the point is that I'm making here is that these things weren't intended to have like a meaning like a pyramid or something like that.
It was a different building.
They were literally a place where they received some godlike being, at least in their stories. Now,
the Greeks and the Romans did this too.
Well, not just the Greeks. Not just the Greeks and the Romans.
No, there was lots of them. I'm just saying I'm just mentioning other cultures that did the same thing. It's all. What's the point?
The Greeks and the Romans did something different. They didn't build threats.
All religions are different. That's why they had.
Well, if you let me just draw this out.
Yeah, go ahead. I was just trying to get to whatever it is you're trying to claim.
Yeah, well, they're not the same thing.
They're not. You're right. I agree.
Yeah. So originally they were ziggurats, and according to all of the ancient, like the Mesopotamians and people before them and after them, these ziggurats were built because these creatures, beings, would actually come down and land on these things somehow. I don't know how. And they would rule the people from there and be worshipped. They would have received worship and gifts and women and what have you. So then all of a sudden, they stopped building the ziggurats and they started building the temples. And when they stopped building the ziggurats and they started building the temples, the very first temples were made worshiping serpents. And then we go into the stories of all the gods, the Greek gods, the Roman gods, the Mesopotamian gods, the Egyptian gods. The funny thing is, all of these ancient territories are telling the same stories. They're all, and these are mainly.
You said they weren't the same.
Well, they were very close to the same. These were people who, according to archaeologists today, they didn't know about each other. They had no contact with each other.
Right.
And it doesn't matter if you're in Chichen Itza or Mesopotamia or Egypt It doesn't matter. You read about these ancient beings that were in rebellion. And not only were they in rebellion, but they lorded over mankind. They came down, they lorded over man. They kind of took over mankind. They started mating with women, and they started, in many cases, cannibalizing the men. And these are in the stories all worldwide. And then all of a sudden, there was a flood that wiped them all out and started everything all over again. Ancient Mesopotamians tell this. The ancient Egyptians tell this. Every single one of these ancient civilizations tell that story.
So right, but
now
okay.
let me show you how that.
Well, you made a whole lot of claims there about.
Well, hold on. Let me show you how it fits in with the Bible now, because the Bible claim is this. The Bible claim is that mankind did choose. There was a rebellion. Mankind was faced with these ancient watchers that fell, yes, ancient angels, and then they brought forth a Nephilim. And then now let's also look at the book of Romans, or not the book of Romans, but the Romans and the Egyptians and the Mesopotamians, because all of these people in the book of Enoch, you read about God telling these angels that they were going to be punished, and he tells them, your own children, part of your punishment is you're going to have to watch your own children war against each other and die. And so every single civilization, every single one of these ancient civilizations gives us the story about the clash of the Titans, where all of a sudden, yes, they did start warring against each other. They did start destroying one another. I'll tell you something else really interesting. Apollo was one of these gods that allegedly.
Hold on. You've mentioned like 20 different things that are.
Well, just about. Yeah, if you can bear with me just a moment.
Okay.
Apollo was one of these gods that supposedly slept with mankind and is tied up in the bottomless pit. But the book of Revelation in chapter, I believe it's 11. If people read that, they're going to find out that God is calling the angel of the bottomless pit when they are released and they come out. They have a king over them whose name is Apollo, Apollyon. That's the Greek name for Apollo. That's what he was really called, Apollyon. So, yeah, in my opinion, we have, well, at least 2 or 3, 4 lines of science, plus all of mythology. Now you can laugh at that, but we just.
I mean, that none of that was science, though.
Well, none of what I just gave you was, and pardon me, but anthropology is a science.
Right, but that wasn't.
Mythology is part of part of that.
Mythology is mythology.
Yeah, but it's still part of
it's the opposite of science.
It is still anthropology. So you have all of these sciences, every single one of them, that point to the fact that I'm not a fool for believing there's God. Now, there's all of this. There's all of this, and I want you to know that my faith in God is not without a lot of study and a lot of support from the scientific community. But most of all, something that I'd want you to know and want everybody here to know, and if you disbelieve me, you can find out for yourself. God is a real being.
Yeah. Okay.
And God wants to have a relationship with everybody here. Now, if you got a dog in the fight to the point to where you don't care if there's really a God, you're not going to believe in him or worship him or serve him or whatever, then what I've got to say won't help you.
I'm going to read a super chat real quick. Okay.
But if you're an honest man, and you'll be able to look and question honest things, and at least address these things, then I can tell you this.
I will address these things if you ever let me.
Well, I
You
can
went
tell
on
you.
and on and on and on about all kinds of shit that is unsupported by anything. Hold on a second and let me read the super chat. Left-handed Jedi gave a $5 super chat. The ancient Chinese, the people of the Indus Valley, and the Egyptians never noticed a worldwide flood. Thank you, left-handed Jedi. I truly appreciate that.
Well, he knows that the Mesopotamians did, the Romans did, the Greeks did. He knows that.
We know that there's mythological stories, but mythology is not fact, and I don't know why you would claim that it is.
There's over 500 tales of the flood from different races and peoples from the ancient world. Over 500 of them.
Yes, and it seems to be that most of those originate from older Mesopotamian stories, and they're just retellings of the same story. Even the flood in the Bible borrows parts of that.
I knew you would say that, and that's untrue. Because according to the scriptures, Abraham was.
I don't care what the Bible says.
Abraham was a contemporary of Nimrod.
Why does it matter what the Bible says?
Well, Abraham was a contemporary of Nimrod and actually lived in that area, lived with Nimrod before he was called off.
And the Quran says that Muhammad split the moon in half. Do you believe it?
I don't believe the Quran.
Right.
Okay.
So why should we believe the Bible?
I do believe the Bible because it's been proven correct to me and absolutely everything.
It's been proven to you, but it hasn't been proven sufficiently to any historian or anybody.
One day I asked God, "Are you real? Are you for real?"
Yeah.
Between everybody in the house, we probably have over 30 or 40 prescriptions.
Good RX. It was.
And he answered vocally.
Actually, God has spoken to me vocally. Okay. Yeah. Now you can call me insane if you like. That's okay.
I can't deny the things that you say you experience. I can't do that. But what I can say is that many of the things that you mentioned through that whole big thing about mythology and all these other stories and things, that's the thing. We know that ancient people told stories. We know the literary process they used to write those stories. We know what they were talking about in many of them. In mythology, all that stuff is metaphor for other things, and we understand that.
According to you.
No, according to
you, it's metaphor.
Historians and
according to them, it's metaphor. Who's to say they're right? You?
Well, I mean, you can suggest that it's something else. You can go against what the people.
Well, you see, I've got a relationship with God, man.
I don't care about any of that. I don't want to get into all that. Like,
well, then you see,
your personal experiences mean fuck all to me.
How could I ever profit you? Look at you. Think about this for a minute. You don't want to sit down and talk about all my scientific reasoning. You don't want to go through and do the actual math for yourself as I walk you through. And then you tell me what I want to hear is the personal stuff. And now you tell me you don't want to hear that.
No, I don't care to hear those things, but what you're doing is it's called gish galloping. You named like 15 things, and when I start to address that, you start talking about your personal experiences. That's why I don't give a shit. It's not that I don't care to talk about.
I was going from one thing to another, and you interrupted me.
You're not letting me address those things.
You interrupted me before I could get to the personal relationship.
You talked for 10 fucking minutes and didn't say anything.
No, I didn't.
You didn't?
I challenge you to
just sit and go on about ziggurats.
I challenge you to replay this.
This culture said that, and mythology said this, and mythology said that. I believe the Bible. It says this verse, and worldwide floods. You did. You just sat and went over all that. Can I address it?
I challenge you to go back here and see how many times you interrupted me in mid-sentence.
I just sat and let you talk forever and didn't say
I challenge you to do it. I challenge you. When we're done, go back over it.
The chat has been sitting here saying, Gish Gallop, quit preaching, because you've been talking about it for.
I don't care what they're saying. I'm not talking to them. I'm talking to you.
I tried twice to interrupt and ask about things that you mentioned, and you said, "Hold on, let me just say this," and then you went on and on.
Because you're stopping me before I get to a point.
You never make a point. You just say
because you don't let me.
Things, and you don't
because
ever,
you have refused to let me make my points.
Your point is you believe these things are true, even though nobody has shown that they are. That's what you're saying. I already get it. Like,
do you know how much you got wrong in the first half hour?
Huh?
Do you know how much of the science you got wrong in our first half an hour? Do you know?
I know how much of it that you misrepresented, and
well,
I gave you what
that's
my whole argument for the
out of
first
your
thing.
ignorance, Joe.
Yeah, I made a mistake about collagen, and I admitted to that.
It's
why
not
do you want to keep? Do you want to bring that up?
Look,
God must be real because I messed up about collagen. Holy fuck!
You're even saying that you even claimed that Mary didn't claim that those fossils are not fully mineralized. She clearly says these are not fully mineralized.
They soaked them in acid and left them setting longer than they were supposed to.
Some soft tissue is still remaining, and you can't even get that.
Oh God,
Joe, you're not being honest.
Yeah, I'm not being honest. You did not.
No, you're not.
You won't even listen to the words that she's telling you. She's saying you are wrong about her research, and you continue to say it's something else. You're lying about her research actively. She's telling you you are wrong and to quit doing it, and you continue to do it. It's one of the most dishonest arguments that creationists make. Do you know why I already had the Mary Schweitzer video ready to play? Because I knew you were going to do it.
What?
Because that's what all creationists do. They lie about Mary Schweitzer.
What did I lie about Mary Schweitzer?
The number one misrepresented piece
tell
of
me one lie I made
for years, and it's a shame. It's a shame that you all behave that way.
You can't tell me a lie I told. Not a single one.
What are you talking about?
You're sitting there
sat and misrepresented her work. I played a video
of her
saying you're misrepresenting her work, and you continue.
What lie did I tell, Joe?
You misrepresented Mary Schweitzer's work.
What lie did I tell, Joe? Can you tell me the lie that I told?
Yes, you just represented the Nephilim as something that's fact. You talked about Mary Schweitzer's work.
What did I lie about Mary Schweitzer?
You did.
Why?
You did.
Where? What?
When she's telling you what you're saying is wrong, and you continue to say that wrong thing,
lie about?
That's what a lie is.
Regarding Mary Schweitzer, where did I lie? Name that specific lie, Joe.
Okay, you were claiming that Mary Schweitzer's work shows that these things can't be this old because of her findings in that work. She told you straight up, I did not find those things that way, and it can't be used to make that argument. I wish they would stop trying to make that argument.
She did not say that. Man, you talk about
lying.
I
can play it again. Here we go.
No, you just did.
Here we go.
So,
one more time.
I was recently in a Young Earth seminar where your research was used to support claims that working blood vessels, fresh blood cells, and intact DNA had been found in dinosaur cells or dinosaur fossils. Is that a fair characterization of your research?
It's wrong on all counts.
You know why that's wrong on all counts?
No, we do not have blood cells. I don't have.
You know why that's wrong on all counts, Joe? Because working DNA and working blood vessels were not found. They just found traces. They found soft tissues. They found the tracks. They found blood vessels, but they're not working blood vessels because they're not in somebody's body pumping blood and etc. That's not. She said working.
Listen to the rest of it.
The data to support that. We do have very rigorous evidence for DNA as the chemical in our dinosaur bone. And
there you go.
It localizes using chemical methods to these osteocytes.
Right. They found the chemical signatures of DNA. They did not find DNA.
Right. And did you not see the blood veins?
Yes, I did. But listen to what she says about all that.
Okay, so you admit that she showed blood veins to 60 Minutes, didn't she?
Okay, we went through all this, right?
Didn't she
left it in acid, and
I'm asking.
And they found
didn't she show them? Didn't she show them actual blood veins?
No.
Introducing the Cup 357, America's most futuristic handgun.
Now available for purchase without any.
Not at
Then
all.
let me pull mine back up.
No thanks.
So no thanks, huh?
No, because you never let me say anything I'm trying to say. Instead, you say, "Well, I'm going to pull this up." I've said, "Listen to the rest of what she says 5 times," because she tells you the date and says,
"Yeah,
that
play it again." She didn't find working stuff.
But can I say it's dinosaur DNA? No, I can't, because it can be anything else on the planet unless I have sequence. And sequencing the DNA we pull out of our bones has so far proven to be impossible. We have round red structures that localize to the blood vessel channels. They have the morphological characteristics of blood vessels. They have a chemical makeup similar to what you'd expect blood cells to have. And I've never figured out why people are more focused on these little red blood cells than they are on the osteocytes, which are way cooler.
Well, because even if they were really,
here's the important part:
red blood cells and red blood vessels, that doesn't change anything, correct? I mean, that doesn't change our understanding of the age of the Earth. It only changes our understanding of how things are fossilized, correct?
Yes, exactly. And the cool thing of it is, if we quit wasting time on how old these things are and start getting at why are they there, it has huge implications that go far beyond dinosaurs.
She
So
says
recently in a
exactly.
seminar where your research was used to support claims.
She says exactly. It doesn't change anything about the age of the Earth or any of that. It changes our understanding of how the fossils are formed.
It doesn't change anything about the age of the Earth, but it does change something about the age of the dinosaur.
Now, she just said. Quit arguing about the age of this thing.
Age of the Earth.
Why they're there.
Age of the Earth, she said. Age of the Earth.
And she said the age of the thing.
I'm not disputing any age of the Earth. Now.
So here's the thing. If you want to, all right, let me just
look.
Let me just make it. I'm going to make a statement real quick here. I'll add this, but hold on a second before we get into it. 1 second. Does it? Okay. Hold on a second, and I'll put it back up. Here's the problem. So the things that you cite, she disagrees with you, and also on top of that, the science that you use to do this, talking about half-lives of collagen and all that stuff, the science that you use to do it is the very same type of science that they use to age that dinosaur to 80 million years. Radiometric dating. If you're going to sit and make an argument about half-lives and this is how this works and you're accepting the science, but you're not accepting the science that tells the age of that dinosaur, and you're not accepting what the scientists told you about that stuff, that it's not important to the age of anything, has nothing to do with that. It's important to the way that the fossils are formed.
What's the half-life of strontium?
I don't know off the top of my head. I have to look. I've got a chart for it, but
what's your chart say?
Hold on, I'll pull it up. C14 article.
Well,
I've got a chart here that has them all on it.
I can save you a little time.
I'll just Google it again. Would be easier.
Yeah, uranium is 4.5 billion half-life.
Sure.
Uranium-238 is 4.5 billion years old half-life. Rubidium is 48.8 billion years for a half-life. Potassium-40, 1.25 billion. How do they know this?
Because of the decay rates of those things.
How do they know that decay rate is staying the same for 48.8 billion years?
Amber sent in a $2 super chat. You're niceness, Joe, but sometimes you're too nice. Thank you for the $2 super chat, Amber. I appreciate it. So whenever it comes to, I just read an article about this. Hold on. And I've already got the site open, so just a second.
See, I'm going to show you the difference between you're dating the old Earth and us dating collagen.
Consistency of radioactive decay rates. The consistency of radioactive decay rates is not an assumption. It's sort of supported by evidence. The radio decay rates of nucleides in radiometric dating have not been observed to vary since their rates were directly measurable, at least within the limits of accuracy. This is despite experiments that attempt to change decay rates. Extreme pressure can cause electron capture decay rates to increase slightly, but the change is small enough that it has no detectable effect. Supernova can have effects on things. Radioactive decay at rate fast enough, that's young Earth stuff.
Let me point something out here to you. At least you're getting some variables there that do say that
they use quantum mechanics to confirm it.
It's not. It's the decay rate is quantum mechanics doesn't confirm that.
That's what they say. That's what the scientists say. Anyway.
Yeah. Well,
I'll give you the source too. Hold on.
They're going to be hard pressed to prove that. Let me point something out here. Their half-life, estimated half-life for uranium-238, 4.5 billion years. That's a nice guess, but it's completely untestable.
Okay, listen. The half-lives of radioisotopes can be predicted from first principles through quantum mechanics. Any variation would have to come from changes to the fundamental constants. According to the calculations that accurately predict the half-lives, any change in fundamental constants would affect the decay rates in different elements disproportionately, even when the elements decay by the same mechanisms. That's from Doctors Greenless and Crane, two different papers that are cited.
So they're saying that the decay rates can change.
If the fundamental constants of the universe
there
are
you
different. Go. But the fundamental constants of the universe can't be different. We've established that if they changed, our universe would not exist, right?
No.
Like that's one of the creationist points.
Read that one more time, please.
Okay. I imagine you want to hear about the constants, right?
The one
Any variation would have to come from changes to fundamental constants. According to the calculations that accurately predict half-lives, any change in fundamental constants would affect decay rates of different elements disproportionately, even when the elements decay by the same mechanism.
Any change of fundamental constants.
Yeah, can you show that the fundamental constants of the universe ever changed and that the universe could continue to exist?
We know that the fundamental constants, for instance, of iron and oxygen, changed the decay.
Everyone in the office is really excited about Power Slap joining Rumble.
1, 2. Decay rate of those fossils, for instance, the decay rate of the soft tissue.
Sydney Raptor for $2 says collagen half-life refers to the turnover while alive, that it's used in living organisms.
Collagen has a half-life, period.
For living organisms.
DNA, and not just for living organisms. DNA.
That's just what they said. I'm just
wrong. DNA has a half-life, for instance, and we use the DNA. It's roughly 500 and some.
They didn't find any of that.
Yeah. Well, she did find DNA. She just can't
she
say
said she found chemical
she
DNA.
Said she can't say it was dino DNA. That's because it was.
She didn't find a strand of DNA.
I saw that interview with her. Yes.
Yeah. Well, she just said it too, so I'm gonna go with that.
Yeah. Well, you need to understand. But here's what I'm saying. Your 4.5 billion year half-life is untestable. Because what you can do, you can extrapolate over, 100 years or so. But that's extrapolating 4.5 billion years over 100 years. Now, they said oxygen and iron can change the decay rate of this of collagen. So we know that decay rates can change. They can fundamentally change.
They
And
can't.
To say that
The scientists say that they can't.
To say that this can't change. Well, she just said it does change. She just said that oxygen and iron did change the fossils. Okay.
So once again, I'm going to point out here that what we've done.
So you're not going to let me make my point here.
Oh, fuck.
Well, the point being that your 4.5 billion year half-life, how are you going to test that? Let me see anybody prove this half-life. 4.5 billion years.
So I can get the calculations if that's what you want to see.
I want to see how it's proven that it's stable over all that time.
So they just explained that they just explained in that why I was reading that particular thing to you was explaining that because of the constants within quantum mechanics in our universe, you can calculate these decay rates. Now, I can go look up the calculations if that's what you want me to do, but I'm trusting that the scientists that said that are telling the truth. Now, should I trust that?
Every single bit of this, I will challenge you. Every single bit of that is theoretical. None of it is on actual testing, proving that it has a 4.5 billion year half-life.
To my understanding, this is well understood, and they are constant.
Well, your understanding is wrong.
Yeah, well, I know you've said that about everything.
Yeah, I've looked at it. I know it's wrong, and you can't prove it's right. That's on you to prove that it's right.
Oh, is it? It's on me to prove that mainstream science is right, not on you to.
It's on you to prove this.
You're the one making extraordinary claims.
You're the one. The 4.5 billion year half-life is an extraordinary claim. I want to see the proof. I want to see.
No, it's not. It's the calculated claim based on evidence. I just read that sentence.
On what?
Why is it? Why is it that you want to try and incorporate science and then turn around and say science is wrong?
I'm waiting on you to pull it up. Let's see it.
What do you want to see?
I want to see the proof that it's been tested, and we know.
You want to see the math on how they calculate decay rates?
No, I want to see the proof.
That is the proof. That's what a proof is.
That it remained unchanging all that time. What's the proof?
The proof is the math. Do you not get that?
That's what I just said to you, and you doubted it. You're telling me the math is wrong. Well, no, the math's not wrong. I'm using her
I'm
numbers.
telling you the math doesn't apply to what you're trying to use it for.
Of course it does.
And I would imagine if
why does it not apply?
If I look up college and half-lives.
Why does it not apply?
Because you're misrepresenting the science of Mary.
How am I misrepresenting it?
Because she's saying that there's nothing there.
You keep going back to
this. She said there's nothing there.
You show me one thing I've
missed of the earth or the age of anything. So why are you disagreeing with her in her own work?
I didn't say this affects the age of the earth at all.
That's the whole argument you said and made.
That's not my argument.
4.5 billion years can't be
You're
right.
not even listening to my arguments.
I mean, I'm not high.
This was the third time I've told you that's not my argument. You're not even listening to what I am saying.
You said these things cannot be that old because of the college and half-lives.
What things?
I told you that the college and half-lives
cannot be that old.
There's nothing.
I did not say the
why,
earth.
Why is my it's getting ready to end my live broadcast for some reason. I'm not sure why.
Okay.
It just ended for some reason.
I'll tell you what I'll do. I will pull up some stuff for you to show you that you're wrong on some of this stuff.
Am I still live, guys?
To show you that you're wrong about Mary. To show you that you're wrong about what she's saying there.
Hold on a second. Hold on. Am I still live, everybody? Can you still hear me?
It says,
I don't know.
It says you're live on this.
Can everyone still hear me? Because it said it was going to end, but it okay. Yeah. Well, I don't know why it did that. It didn't end though. It's still going.
Listen, let's do something. Let's agree to something here, and not turn away as adversaries. Okay, because I don't want to do that. I would actually like a chance to come back and address some of these things, your arguments now.
I mean, you haven't said anything that I wouldn't let you come back, Eric. I'm not. I get heated about these things, but I'm not angry with you.
Same here, brother. I'm not angry with you, but I don't want to get adversarial. So let's just pick a good time to call this a good discussion, a good passionate discussion. We can come back, make another time. Give me a chance to pull out a couple of things, and maybe we can do it a point at a time, so we don't wear things out and it doesn't.
Sure.
Pure gish gallop.
Well, before we go, I still want to address, because I've never actually got to address the real problem here, because this whole thing of saying, well, the science, I don't agree with the science, or the science says this and it's not supported or whatever. Even if all of that science is wrong, you still have all your work to do in front of you, because all you've told me is these mythological things that are not supported make me believe that my book is true about this thing that's not supported. And
that actually isn't why I believe it at all. I believe it because I tested it and tried it.
You mentioned some personal experiences, right? The point that I'm trying to make is that apologetics seems to be in this state to where it wants to set and poke holes in science, when that does absolutely nothing for the claim that a God exists, or which God that is, or why you should worship that God. It tells you none of those things.
When I try to go into that, you said you didn't want to hear it.
Right, because I was trying to talk about something else you had already said.
Okay.
You mentioned a bunch of stuff about pyramids, and when I started to talk about pyramids, then you started to talk about that. So yes, I said I didn't give a fuck and didn't want to talk about it. Because I was trying to address the other thing you said.
Okay, well, let me share a little something with you.
No, hold on. I'm talking right now. So you have gish galloped through this entire thing over and over and over, which is cool. I'm not mad at you. I let you do it. I could have muted you at any moment. I didn't. The problem is, though, is that none of this fucking matters, because you not agreeing with what Mary Swatzer said her work is, and that she says that creationists have misrepresented her for years. She's been yelling about this for years. And the only reason she hasn't sued anybody over it is because she is a believer, actually. And she doesn't want to do that. But her science has been misrepresented for years, and she's been very vocal about that.
Yes, well, I'm misrepresenting it.
Okay, fine.
For a fact,
Okay, hold on. But that's why I say that you're misrepresenting her science.
Well, I'm
but
not.
Even if we had to talk about astrophysics, but you said we don't understand the universe, therefore I should believe in this book, and that doesn't make any sense. That's not a good way to make sense.
That's not what I said either.
Well, no, you said this book gives an explanation, and I believe that's true. And that's the difference between science and religion. You believe that's true, and that's cool. I have no problem with that. But when you say science is on your side, which is what you emailed me originally, that's what I'm arguing about right now, because it is not in any way whatsoever.
Sometime I'll probably have the chance next time to show you some of this stuff. What I'm trying to say is this. When I jumped in here, I really thought that I would be able to lay things out logically for you, and that I would have the time to lay it out fully for you, and then discuss things after you've heard the matter. But you see, I didn't get a chance to do any of that.
Oh my gosh!
So you picked apart every little thing that I said leading up to a point.
Yes, when you said things that were either unsupported or
they're not unsupported.
You just brought up things that had nothing to do with anything. Yes, I stopped to explain because there's an audience watching this show.
Well,
if you go through and name 10 things and I don't, then you say, I start to address them, and you say, well, let me make my point. Then we don't address those 10 things. So I have to address the things.
Write it down and let me finish my point.
Right, but then we go through. You're going to sit and talk for 20 minutes, and I'm going to sit and talk for 20 minutes. Why can we not talk about the points as you bring them up? Because that's a dishonest way to argue. That's why it's called a gish gallop. I'm not saying you're dishonest. I'm saying it's a dishonest way to have a conversation.
If you stop me at every end of a sentence, I don't get to explain anything, and that's the way this turned out tonight.
Oh, shit.
Yeah,
you went on and look. The audience has
had to keep
an hour talking about how you went on and on and on.
I had to keep going over the same things because you wouldn't let me off it. You wouldn't let me
kept saying the same wrong things over and over, and
They
then acted
weren't
like I
wrong.
was stopping you.
Even
You
what
went on
you
about-
said about Mary Schweitzer was wrong.
You went on about let me do the math. Let me do the math.
Wrong. You quoted her wrong. She did not say half the things that all she said
played
was,
her fucking clip, dude.
Yeah,
It was
and
her speaking, not me.
I challenge you to play it again.
What do you want to hear this time? I will. I don't care.
Go ahead.
About the age of the Earth? Is that what you want to hear?
No.
About the age of the dinosaur? Because she says that too.
No. Play it and stop when I tell you to. You'll see.
Okay. Hold on. Let me get it to the beginning.
So I was recently in a Young Earth seminar where your research was used to support claims that working blood vessels, fresh blood cells, and intact DNA had been found in dinosaur cells.
Replay that part one more time.
Sure.
So I was recently in a Young Earth seminar where your research was used to support claims that working blood vessels, fresh blood cells, and intact DNA
There you
had been
go.
found in dinosaur cells or dinosaur fossils.
Stop. I never said that they found any of that stuff. Working blood vessels, working blood cells, intact DNA. I never
Did
said
you not say that they found soft tissue veins? You said and said to me forever. Did they not find veins?
Now I want you to play this.
They asked her in this clip, did you find anything that changes anything at all about this? And she
Hold
said,
on,
no.
hold on. If you could. Now, we just said that no one ever claimed, at least I never claimed, that she found working DNA or that she found working blood vessels and blood, etc. I didn't say she found any of that. Now,
you said she found intact veins, is what you said.
Now, let's watch this.
That were soft tissue.
Let's watch this.
Yeah.
You got it up?
Yeah, it's up. Play it.
Okay.
What happened next happened by mistake. Mary put some fragments of the bone in acid to dissolve away the outermost layer of mineral. But the acid worked too fast and all the mineral dissolved away. Being a fossil, there should have been nothing left. But there was, and it was elastic, like living tissue.
This is the piece.
No.
She showed us video she took under the microscope.
That's really what happened?
Yes.
That's the dinosaur bone?
Without mineral now. That's what was left.
It looked like the soft tissue she would have expected to find if it had been modern bone. This was impossible. This bone was 68 million years old.
So you see this and you think, what? You
I didn't want to tell anybody.
You'd be ridiculed,
Yes.
right?
And so I said to my technician, okay, do it again. I don't believe it.
And yet, in sample after sample, they were there. Things that looked suspiciously like flexible, transparent blood vessels.
There you go. Right there.
Things that looked like that. When she dissolved bone in acid longer than she was supposed to.
Will you listen?
This no, I'm gonna answer to what you said. There you go. I'm gonna answer to it.
Would you let me speak, please?
Yeah, you can speak in just a second. So she said they looked like blood vessels. Now in the other things she says she cannot say that they are those things. So it looked like that doesn't mean that it was this or was that or anything else. It looked like those things. Go ahead. You should. Why is it not? Oh boy. Can you not how did I do that it won't let me? Hold on a second, Eric. Why is it doing that? Try and unmute yourself, Eric. All right, go ahead. Oh, I got to add you back on the stage. Hold on. Sorry about that. All right, go ahead.
Okay. So, yeah, she said, first of all, she didn't say that they didn't find these things. They didn't find them working. She didn't find working DNA or anything that was. What she found was remnants of DNA. As a matter of fact, I saw her boss there. Doggone, what's his?
Jack.
Anyway, yeah, Jack Horner. Her boss, Jack Horner, gave a TED talk to where he was talking about he wishes that he could take that DNA and create his own dinosaurs, but there's not enough there for them to sequence. All they can say is that yes, we know that we've got its DNA, but there's not enough there to sequence. What Mary said was that at this point they hadn't had a chance to test all of this stuff yet, to see if there really was a red blood cell.
Want the effects of Viagra, but faster? Meet Rose Spark. They contain sildenafil and tadalafil, but
or if it really was from a dinosaur. What she's saying is, it could have come from anywhere. Yes, this is stuff from DNA, but it could have come from anywhere. We can't say it's dinosaur DNA because it wasn't tested. So there you go.
Well, it wasn't testable DNA is the problem. She found the chemical signature of DNA. She did not find intact DNA. That's what you're missing about this. She found things that resembled this, and she found signatures of things, which was really interesting stuff because those things are still contained within the fossils that formed.
Yeah.
At no point did she find anything though that contained actual DNA or red blood cells.
They did find remnants of DNA, and they didn't find.
Yes, they found the signature. They found remnants.
They did find blood veins, and they did find. They did see that there were something red.
They found no veins.
Yes, they did. I just showed it to you.
Okay, what I played for you before this, you're playing the original 60 Minutes episode from before. I'm playing a newer thing where she says, we did not find any blood vessels at all.
She did not say that.
It's the first thing he asks her in the video.
No.
Yes, listen. Once
They're
again,
not working.
It's the very first thing he says.
Is that a fair characterization of your research?
Back it up.
Recently in a Young Earth seminar where your research was used to support claims that working blood vessels, fresh blood cells, and
working
intact
blood
DNA.
vessels. Working blood vessels.
What do you
working blood
like?
vessel?
Do you think like that means that it was still living and pumping blood? Like, what are you conflating that with? Because
they were not working blood vessels.
Right, it was dead.
That
It
is
was
not
dead.
the
They were
same
not
as
functioning.
saying. That is not the same as saying there were no blood vessels. She didn't find working blood vessels.
What do you mean? What is the difference?
She found fragments of blood vessels that weren't connected to one another.
She found things that looked like blood vessels.
Yes.
Yes. She didn't find blood vessels. She found things that looked like blood
But
vessels.
they think that they were blood vessels. Yes.
But she soaked the stuff in acid longer than she was supposed to, and it dissolved, and that was what was left. And it looked like pieces of blood vessels and stuff.
There you go.
Yes, but it was not that.
It was not. No, it was not working blood vessels. Get it right. You're adding to it. So next time I see you, I'll be able to take care of this
The
problem.
thing is, here's the reason that I'm bringing this up is because if that was true, if she found all this stuff, then we would have no problem running DNA sequences on all dinosaurs we find. We would, if that's true, right? Then we would find that in dinosaurs. We don't.
What if we did find dinosaur DNA and they tested it and they found out that dinosaurs died out like 10,000 years ago?
Then we would have scientific evidence that that's true. But as of
You
right
think
now,
they'd come out with that?
Huh?
You actually think they would publicize that?
Yes.
I don't.
There is not this big conspiracy to say that dinosaurs are. What good does that do? What is the end game of lying about the age of dinosaurs? Why?
What's the end game about lying about Neanderthal and saying that we aren't the same species as Neanderthal and Denisovan?
Yeah. Why do you think there's a conspiracy to lie about that?
Well, I don't know, but there obviously is one.
It couldn't be that you're just not understanding what they're saying.
No, I understand that. I understand perfectly the definition of a species, and so do you.
Yes, I do, and I admit openly, and so do they, that there's problems with the definition of species.
There you go, but they don't.
There are species that can breed with other species.
I'll tell you what, you are a rare exception there, because most of them don't make that a testimony at all.
But it's the exception does not define the norm, is what I'm saying. Though.
What's the exception?
Just because there are some species that like, again, lager is the one that I'll use. There's a whole bunch of them though, but lager is the one that I'll use. Just because there's an exception where there's two species that are close enough together that they can mate doesn't mean that we throw out the word species and don't use it. Like it's a fluid term. It has to be that way. As we understand more, there may be a time when we have to incorporate more into it.
So
now let me talk.
How about if you do that with mammals then? Let's change the classification of mammals.
Why?
Do this too. Why? Exactly.
Based on what?
Why? Based on what? There's no need to, is there? Do you understand the point?
We classify things and we put them in little boxes so it's easier for us to organize and understand.
But when the atheist sees that, hey, this gives me a problem, and they don't like it, and to them it is a problem, and they don't know how to explain it.
Look, even if evolution isn't true, it has not shit to do with atheism. Evolution can be false. Now prove a fucking God exists. You've yet to touch that. That's the problem. This is the thing that apologists engage in. You want to poke holes in science in order to say, no, the atheists are wrong and all this is wrong.
You want to poke holes in what I believe.
What
are you thinking about when you want to poke holes in what I believe?
I don't. You have to come talk to me.
When you're trying to poke holes,
I don't go looking for theists to talk to. I could give a shit less. Like I didn't see
poke holes in what I believe. It's not helping your case. It's not helping you find an actual transitional fossil. As it is, you say they're all transitional, and you can't give me even one that is.
If they all are, that's more than one. Okay, it's kind of.
You can't give me any.
What do you? Humans are transitional.
Prove
all
that.
Dinosaurs are transitional. All fossils are transitional. Like what
Prove
do you?
That. How? Look. Let me point out something here.
Genetic.
If you were going to prove a lineage, there's only one way to prove it or disprove it. Do you know what falsification is? A falsification procedure is this.
Yeah.
It has to be a test that's so stringent, it has the capacity of proving your theory wrong. Okay? Now, there's only one test that has the capacity to prove your hypothetical
DNA. Right.
Yeah, that's the only test.
Okay.
You can run on those.
Stop stupidity. Remember, thank you. Stop the stupidity. Okay, so here's the problem, though, right?
I don't get to finish that thought either.
You did. I'm not going to let you go on about it for 20 minutes.
No, you're not going to let me go on for 1 minute, and that's okay, sir. Let me just say, have a good day, Joe. Look,
wasn't. Hold on. It said that Scribe Stop the Stupidity gifted 5 memberships. Mage Grey Wolf got one. Austin Al, Tyler, and somebody else. Poor Claire.
That's
welcome,
cool,
guys. Thanks for giving them a better. Hold on. Hold the fuck on. I'm doing my show thing here now. Okay.
Okay.
Sydney Raptor, Eric, what positive evidence for 6,000 years?
There's a reason you can smell the asparagus come out of you in your urine. It's good for kidney health. For ginger, recent study in renal nutrition.
He didn't claim 6,000 years, Sydney. So I'll say that much. But and that's what I'm driving at, though. You want to claim this other thing by poking holes in science, and it does nothing to prove that thing at all.
Claim what other thing?
That science is on the side of religion. That science supports Christianity in some way. That's the message you sent me. That's why we had this conversation.
No, I think you're actually intimidated, Joe, to let this be drawn out. I really am. I really do think that, and I'm sorry to say that.
You can say whatever you want. I don't care.
Well, I do like you as a person, man.
I'm not your enemy. I'm not your enemy,
and I'm not your enemy either. I want you to understand that.
But what apologists do, the thing you're doing, is the enemy of your own religion. It's you guys that are destroying Christianity, not us.
I don't know what you mean by that.
Whenever you come and make these claims that mainstream science is wrong about everything in order to fit your narrative,
I didn't say mainstream science is wrong about everything.
You said Mary Schweitzer's wrong about what she said. You said
I didn't say Mary Schweitzer's wrong about anything.
You said carbon dating is wrong about the things it says, and that since we
I didn't say carbon dating is wrong either.
You said that you did.
You said carbon dating is wrong.
Show it was constant. They calculated it.
You said, Joe, you said carbon dating was wrong. You did.
The paper I read to you was in response to you saying there's no way to observe that strontium has a 4.5 billion year half-life. And I said, yes, they observed the decay of it because it's always decaying. You then said, well, there's no way to show that that's been constant over that period of time. And I went and I pulled up how they calculate that for you, that they use the constants within.
You didn't show me. You just gave me a bunch of words that didn't show us anything.
Those words were science.
No, they weren't.
And I gave you I even gave you the reference. It was.
They were a narrative.
It was Dr.
narrative that bypassed any.
I gave a source to support that. You gave me no, it's not.
Well, look,
how old is the Earth? What positive evidence?
You don't even remember our conversation now.
How old is the Earth, and what evidence do you have that it's that old? Because you're claiming these things can't be that old, so there must be some reason for it, right?
Where did I claim the Earth can't be that old?
Why the argument about the dinosaurs?
That's a lie. That's a lie.
Why? Okay.
You just lied about me. I never said the Earth cannot. I never said. Well, you're misrepresenting me. I never said the Earth can't be that old.
Why all the stuff about the age of the dinosaur and saying that the dinosaur isn't 80 million years old like they told you? Why are you suggesting it's not if you're not trying to claim a younger Earth? What is the purpose in that?
I don't claim a younger Earth. I claim you're wrong about the age of the dinosaurs dying out.
Why would we be talking about that as science?
We have 3 sets of scientific proofs that prove that the dinosaurs were recently extinct.
Why would you bring that here to talk about science supporting your religion then? What does that have to do with it?
And I explained that too. You see,
because you needed to be
if dinosaurs died out within the last 50,000 years,
they lived with man.
Well, then
is that the argument?
No, then you obviously don't have any room for evolution.
Okay, what is the problem with evolution? If you're not claiming a young Earth,
you don't have the time for it if they died out in the last 50,000 years.
So you're not claiming a young Earth, you're claiming a young creation.
Yes.
So okay, so finally we get to the claim.
That's what the claim was all along. It's not
well.
final.
You've never stated
you
that.
You just need to start practicing listening.
You've never said that once. You've bitched about the age.
I certainly did say that. I said clearly, I don't believe in a young Earth. I just believe in a young age. We live in a young age of the Earth.
Yeah, but Okay, so creation, how long ago are you suggesting creation was?
I have, I answered that too. I told you, I think that it's possible the earth is even older than you guys believe it. It's possible that the earth is hundreds of millions of years old.
So you're not a biblical literalist. You think that God created the earth in the creation story in Genesis. God created the earth and let it set for billions of years, and then a couple 100,000 years ago.
That's not what I believe either.
Well, I'm trying to figure it out.
Yeah. Well, we need to take one thing at a time. You confuse everything.
You've said
and you're trying to confuse it.
And I'm asking you why. I'm asking you why we went through
Joe, let me speak for a minute. I tried to get off of here a half an hour ago.
We can quit.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, what I want to do, I want to leave on peaceful terms, and I want to come back. Because when I come back, I want to prove that you're wrong about Mary. And I'm going to explain myself a little bit more clearly on what I actually believe. And then I also want to give everybody a little bit of why I really do believe in God. You see, okay. I've known God. I was shown God when I was 2 years old. And I was, this is no kidding, I was diagnosed with leukemia. And I was healed. And when I was 6 years old, I gave my heart to the Lord. My grandfather was the best Christian example I ever knew. And I was called to his home at the age of 6 years old, and I saw him lying on his hospital bed, dying. He had been in a car. 5 people were killed. He was one of them that should have been killed, but he was sent home to die from the hospital in a coma. And when I walked in, I went outside crying like a little kid, like a baby. I was 6 years old. And I was praying, asking God, don't let my grandfather die. And he gave me another 33 years with my grandfather, the best Christian influence I ever had.
Yeah.
And now, when I was 20 years old, I was back and forth. When I was, by the time I was 20, I wasn't walking with the Lord at all. When I was 22 years old, I was fooling around with some friends upstairs in my apartment with my brother, my wife, his wife, and a friend and his wife. And the 6 of us were horsing around. My brother broke my hand. And he broke it in front of absolutely everybody there.
That son of a bitch.
And it was broken right between my knuckle and my wrist.
That hurt, don't it?
It did.
I broke mine right here. And I have a boxer's fracture too.
Well, when we moved the bone around, it instantly swelled out, black, blue, yellow, green, 3 times the size it should have been. My hand was shaking. I couldn't stop it from shaking.
Right on.
And when he was saying, we're going to run you to the hospital, I said no. And I don't know why I said no, but I said no. But all of a sudden, I started doing something. And I don't know why I did it, but my hand, I started trying to open and shut my hand. Now, with a broken hand, you can't do that very well.
No.
But I kept
trying. I rode
trying.
a motorcycle. I used throttle on a motorcycle with broken wrist. I understand.
Yes, sir. So, but I kept trying, and eventually I was able to close it fully and tightly. And when I did that, in front of everybody, that bone was no longer broken. It knit together. It popped back into place.
Yeah, it was dislocated.
No, it was not dislocated. It was broken right in the middle of the bone.
Oh, you got an x-ray of it?
No, we saw it. We moved it. We moved the bone. You could move the 2 pieces.
All right. So
did you know that if you're over 65 and suffer a fall, you have over a 50% chance of dying within a year?
Well, hold on.
No, I want to get into. Look,
hold on. Hold on.
Let's get.
Let me finish.
All right.
At that point, my brother looked at me, and I heard something. God spoke to me, and he says, "If you don't give me glory for this, Eric, you're going to die." He told me that. Nobody else heard it, but I heard it with my ears. I felt it inside me, and it like to put me on the floor in fear. And my brother spoke up at that point because here's something you don't know about me. My mom might have been a Christian, but my dad was a pagan. So we got to see both sides. And my brother thought this was something I did.
Yeah.
And I could have gone on to say, I could have gone on to say that was something that I did, but I didn't. Because God put the fear of him into me at that point.
Yeah.
And I told him, Brian, what you saw was not me. That was the power of God that healed my hand. And when I said that, the building that I lived in, which was the Wagon Wheel Bar and Grill in Wilmington, Ohio, owned by my relatives at the time, it shook. The whole building shook when I told him that that was the power of God, to the point that the people that were in the bar came upstairs. Now, since that time...
Why would they go upstairs?
Because the building shook.
Why would they know to go upstairs?
Because I lived up there.
So they knew it was you shaking the building?
They thought it had to have been, but it wasn't us.
Yeah.
And when they saw everything was intact, they left. But
so enough with the anecdotal stories.
That's when I sent everybody else home and I began to pray.
Yeah.
And I told the Lord, I'm sorry.
Eric. Stop.
I told the Lord that I'm sorry. I told the Lord that you're going to have to make me stop if you don't want to hear this.
You're right. I don't want to hear it. You've been going on forever.
Well, this is something that I will finish.
Crazy ass bullshit. Like, I don't want to hear it. You're right.
Okay,
about actual things.
You're going to have to be rude to me then, because I'm going
to. Yes, I'm going to. I did have to be rude because you want to just rant on and on and on.
So
like you talked about your
I sent everybody home, and I started to pray, and I asked God to please forgive me for leaving him. And I was only confused because every time I looked for help in what to believe and how to understand the word, all I met were preachers that didn't know what they were talking about.
Yes, I've run into some people like that.
I said, Lord, I need you to teach me what's right and what's wrong, to show me your scriptures. And from that point on, God gave me a hunger and he began to teach me. And my relationship with God, Joe, is intimate.
Sure.
And I pray every day. I pray for my enemies. I see God answer my prayers every single day. I can tell you this. I sit here before you right now. 3 years ago, I was hospitalized with 8 heart conditions and stage 4 COPD.
I'm going to drink bleach if you don't stop.
Well,
stop it.
You know, Joe.
I don't want your anecdotal stories. I could care less.
Yeah, it's really funny. I'm going to point out your hypocrisy here. You didn't want to hear the science, and when I said I can give you the personal stuff, you said, "Well, that's what I really want to hear."
Yes, but you've been monologuing for 10 minutes.
And then you tried to shut me up from the moment I started relaying it.
You just.
So let me show you your hypocrisy.
You're like a fucking old drunk man rambling about fucking crazy
shit.
shit.
The truth is, there's not any of this that you want to hear.
There's none of it that you can demonstrate.
And there's none of it. There's none of it you can win when it comes to the science. That's why you wanted me to shut up.
What are you talking about? The science does nothing to.
I will. If you'll have me back, Joe, I'll be back. So
I'll have you back. We'll have a moderator. And here's the thing. Look, I want to set up what we're going to talk about when you come back. Okay. So you've destroyed all the scientific understanding of the age of the Earth and how old life on Earth is. You've destroyed all that. I'll give it to you. So we're going to start at the point.
No, that's cheap and wrong.
That's what you tried to do the whole time.
What we will do is we'll go back over
what Mary. Argue science with me?
We'll go back over what Mary really said.
Oh fuck! I'm not talking about Mary Swatzer with you ever again.
Well, you see, I didn't think you would want to.
But no, because she said what she said, and you're trying to say something.
And different. I'm gonna prove you're wrong. So that's what we'll talk. That's how we'll start when I come back. That's what I want to talk about.
We'll have some. As much as I don't like to do like organized debates, we'll have somebody come moderate and give us both equal time to talk. That way, there's none of that. Okay.
Okay, and that's what I want to talk about. So this time we'll really get to talk about it.
We'll talk about Mary Swatzer then. Okay.
Okay,
I'm
that's
gonna make
cool.
you look stupid. You understand
That's
that,
fine.
right?
I look forward to it, Joe.
All right. So